Federal health officials say they've identified lettuce as a source of the widespread outbreak of cyclospora, a parasite causing diarrhea.
One of the things that's characteristic is it can come and go. So you can get some recovery for a few days and then it comes back again.
The CDC late Thursday confirming the source and warning consumers not to eat shredded lettuce from Taco Bell restaurants across 5 states in the Midwest, where the contaminated lettuce has reportedly been served. In a statement, the company saying, quote, "The affected ingredient from our supplier is being indefinitely removed from our supply chain nationwide and will be replaced within 24 hours in select states."
They told us that they threw out their stock of lettuce and, they're going to protect their customers that are coming.
The White House Thursday weighing in on the matter, saying the Trump administration is closely monitoring the outbreak and has a handle on the situation.
We're committed to providing the CDC and the FDA the resources that they need, and we urge all Americans to follow CDC guidance.
For now, health officials say it's still best to take extra precautions.
We're recommending that people wash their produce, perhaps peel away the outer layers, certainly cut away any areas that are bruised, and of course, washing hands before food preparation and also washing table surfaces.
Thursday, an Ohio man filed a federal lawsuit against a Taco Bell franchisee, saying the meal he ate there made him sick. In Los Angeles, Natalie Chuck, Fox News.
For the 6th straight day, the U.S. escalated its airstrikes on Iran, but now the target profile is expanding. After weeks of threats, President Trump is now ordering the destruction of bridges, roadways, and port infrastructure near the Strait of Hormuz, hoping to cut off resupply routes for Iran's military and pressure Tehran into backing off the Strait of Hormuz.
I think we're going to squeeze the neck of Iranian military infrastructure around the Strait of Hormuz so that they're not able to sustain their attacks.
At the same time, the president could be looking at limited options if he wants to expand the war, with most experts agreeing a land invasion is not likely at this time.
You're looking at strategic targets. You're not talking about a ground invasion of Iran. You can't get there. It's too hard to do. The country is too large.
The stepped-up attacks are also aimed at pushing Iran back to the bargaining table, and the White House says it's working.
They want to make a deal with us because they are suffering devastating blows on behalf of our United States military.
But the Iranians tell a different story. They say they won't resume talks until the fighting stops. And on Friday, they targeted another civilian ship, part of a strategy to maintain control in the Strait of Hormuz.
The passage of vessels is not important to the U.S. The U.S. is not dependent on the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump has announced it many times.
Iran issued a new warning Friday to countries hosting U.S. military bases, threatening crushing retaliation if the U.S. airstrikes don't stop. In Tel Aviv, Mike Tobin, Fox News.
I'm authorizing a new screening program for testosterone deficiency for our service members.
This week, the defense secretary announcing a new testosterone screening program for U.S. troops. In a video posted to social media, Pete Hegseth said it'll be required for service members to be tested every year, with the exception of those under 30. For them, testing would be voluntary.
Because it's well-established science that as we age, testosterone levels often naturally drop.
Testosterone use in the military has had a bit of a complicated past, with the death of a Navy SEAL recruit in training in 2022. His passing uncovered substances he was using, including testosterone, which then revealed a far more rampant drug use among the entire program. Wednesday, Hegseth maintaining
it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities.
Doctors are now weighing in about low testosterone and what that can look like.
Lowered energy, lowered mood, difficulty keeping off fat or maintaining a lean body mass, and having a decreased sex drive.
And testosterone replacement therapy, which Hegseth said would be voluntary.
If monitored properly and properly prescribed, we do believe it to be safe in men who have deficient testosterone.
The move comes as other Trump administration officials have begun to advocate for men to have easier access to testosterone replacement therapies. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Testosterone deficiency, as we currently describe it, is the combination of having blood testing that shows testosterone levels below normal but also signs and symptoms of low testosterone. So testosterone replacement therapy is exactly as it would sound. It is taking men or individuals who have a low testosterone with coupled symptoms and treating them and bringing their testosterone levels back to what we would feel would be more in the normal range. When it comes to testing the troops as a blanket whole, everyone over 30, like I said, it's not routinely done. The whole part of this is that it has to be properly dosed, properly prescribed, and in an appropriate setting, meaning our current different definitions for treating low testosterone include symptoms and lab numbers.
We're facing record-shattering rainfall that leads to very dangerous flooding.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott laying bare the seriousness of the flooding emergency facing his state.
No one can be complacent when rain falls and waters rise.
On Thursday, the governor said at least 2 people had died in the flooding in central Texas. One victim killed near Comfort, Texas, not far from where catastrophic flooding struck last July, in which the death toll included 25 child campers and 2 teenage counselors at Camp Mystic.
We are still reeling from what happened a year ago. And to have this happen again so suddenly is literally quite devastating.
Governor Abbott said first responders made more than 230 rescues. Meanwhile, smoke from wildfires burning in Canada and Minnesota is causing foggy skies in the U.S., with a thick haze in the air over multiple cities, including Chicago, Buffalo, New York City, and even the nation's capital.
Compared to normal days, yeah, it was just hard to breathe overall.
The way my mind works, I'm like, it kind of smells like someone's burning an old rocking chair.
It's triggering widespread air quality alerts and creating health concerns for many.
With the children and the fact that they have developing lungs, we just felt like reducing the amount of time that they're exposed to the exterior.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
Wildfire smoke is the toxic products of combustion of whatever burned. So really, if there were trees, it's products of tree combustion. If there were houses, it's products of that. And so really, it's a big, giant toxic soup of particles and gases. What we measure most often in studies is PM 2.5, so particulate matter less than 2.5 microns. And the reason we keep track of that is that those particles are so small that they go all the way down into people's alveoli, and the teensy tiny ones can cross over into the bloodstream and lead to inflammatory cascades in people's blood. And so that's why the range of health impacts goes all the way from surface level things, so itchy eyes, headaches, coughing, to usually a day or two later in the emergency department, we start to see asthma exacerbations, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease exacerbations, and even heart attacks and cardiac arrest.
You do have the power to educate yourself and protect yourself to a certain extent. Just like the weather forecast is available on your phone, you can look at the outdoor smoke forecast. And I would also recommend, if you have the ability, jump online and look at these low-cost air quality monitors. They're very accessible now. You can start to look for ways to make changes, like air purification systems. Have a plan to have masks, N95 masks in your home, or to have a plan to make sure that all the windows and doors are actually shut during a wildfire smoke event.
If you go out in the smoke, when you come back, change your clothes. If you need to, take a shower, get that off of you so that you're not getting additional exposure. I think all of those things will help, but the number one thing would be, if you can avoid it, you should avoid it.
The stage is set for the 2026 World Cup final as Spain and Argentina face off Sunday at New York, New Jersey Stadium. And big parties in the Big Apple are ready to celebrate. It's been an unpredictable, unforgettable World Cup so far. Teams have defied expectations, captivated audiences, and longtime greats have solidified their GOAT status. Attendees from around the globe have bonded, sharing tournament travel stories along the way. Fans have filled stadiums, festivals, and fan zones and tuned in record numbers. As 3 host nations, 11 U.S. cities included, hosted an expanded competition of 48 teams. And then there were 2. Spain and Argentina take the pitch for an epic showdown Sunday. 90 minutes before kickoff is the closing ceremony. EGOT winner Jennifer Hudson will sing the U.S. national anthem. Post Malone is headlining. Tom Cruise is making a special appearance. Midway through the match, cue the first ever World Cup final halftime show, where artists include Shakira, Madonna, BTS, Justin Bieber, and Coldplay. Plus, plenty of festivities are leading up to the final, including one more match ahead, as France and England square off Saturday in Miami in a fight for 3rd place. Watch parties nationwide will still be in full effect, especially here near New York, New Jersey Stadium, where from Central Park to the Brooklyn Bridge, they're keeping this World Cup energy going all weekend. In New York, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Throughout the World Cup, soccer fans have been excited, nervous about the outcome, showing love for their team. But no matter how they are taking in the game, many are doing it with a beer in hand.
We know that sporting events are a huge surge in alcohol sales.
And that's not expected to go flat when Spain faces Argentina in the final at the New York, New Jersey Stadium. The venue is expected to serve up $16.4 million in beer sales during all 8 games played at that stadium, with more than $3 million of that poured just during the last game, according to the digital sports media company Better Collective.
For the duration of the World Cup, there is an estimated 1.69 million beers being consumed in the stadium. That beats most NFL games.
Equating every pour to a 16-ounce tall boy, the data shows fans at the final game will be drinking at a rate of 230 pints every single minute over a 24-hour window, emptying enough cans to stretch from New York City to Philadelphia nearly 4 times. Still, with beer prices starting at $16 each, drinking is expected to rival the Super Bowl.
We're going to be seeing a lot of alcohol consumption. I'm sure a lot of beer makers have been stressed by this. This is basically their Black Friday.
In preparation, Anheuser-Busch says they've been working for 2 years to meet the demand.
It's a lot of beer movement, a lot of the team involved in really bringing this to life and making it happen.
When beer drinking home viewers are factored in, guzzling a whopping 1.8 billion gallons throughout the tournament, according to Better Collective, that's enough to fill the Empire State Building 6.5 times. In New York, I'm Eric Shawn, Fox News.
We did run out of beer the first night that the World Cup was here. And that was a little bit of a surprise because we have a lot of beer. But we had to make emergency deliveries that night. So, we thought we were prepared the next night and we ran out again. Eventually, we had to drain not only all the kegs at our tap room, we had to drain 2 of the brewery tanks of Boston Lager. That's never happened before. Not the World Series, not the Super Bowl, not the Celtics winning an NBA championship. We've never had to drain our brewery tanks, only the World Cup. Beer production in the U.S. has been going down for a while, and during the World Cup, beer really came to the fore. We saw beer sales explode. We had multiple countries coming here. We had a tartan army from Scotland that flooded into our tap room. They drank us dry. They had a beer in their hand and they were talking to each other. They were doing what beer is meant to do, which is helping people enjoy each other's company. And my hope is that we don't forget that experience.
You've heard of the Super Bowl halftime show, but did you know the World Cup final will feature one too? Here's what to know about it. The show is curated by Coldplay's Chris Martin, who came up with the idea 4 years ago while watching the 2022 World Cup. It'll support the FIFA Global Citizen Education Fund, which is raising $100 million to help children access education and soccer. World Cup icons Shakira, Madonna, and BTS were announced as the headliners of the 11-minute show in May, but somehow it's only gotten bigger since then. Burna Boy, who collaborated on this year's official song for the World Cup, Die alongside Shakira, joined the lineup. And believers like me are already geared up for Justin Bieber to hit the World Cup stage in his second major headlining gig of the year. And if the halftime show isn't star-studded enough, FIFA also put together a closing ceremony that'll be headlined by Post Malone and feature performances by IShowSpeed, Pussycat Dolls member Nicole Scherzinger, a special appearance by Tom Cruise, and more. The ceremony will take place 90 minutes before the game, and the World Cup final kicks off Sunday, July 19th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Ser propietario de una vivienda ha sido durante mucho tiempo parte del sueño americano, pero cada vez es menos una realidad para muchas personas a medida que los precios de las casas se disparan.
Los precios de las viviendas están alcanzando niveles récord.
Lawrence Young, de la Asociación Nacional de Agentes Inmobiliarios, dice que los precios de las viviendas siguen subiendo y que no es probable que bajen en el corto plazo. El precio promedio de venta de una vivienda en junio fue de más de $440,000, según la Asociación Nacional de Agentes Inmobiliarios. En junio de 2016 era de más de $247,000. Eso representa un aumento de casi el 80% en solo 10 años. Las altas tasas hipotecarias y la falta de viviendas disponibles están impulsando los precios al alza. Los expertos afirman que simplemente no hay suficientes viviendas para satisfacer la demanda. Ahí es donde una nueva ley de vivienda podría ayudar. La ley permite que fábricas y oficinas sean convertidas en apartamentos. También autoriza programas piloto que ofrecen subvenciones y préstamos condonables para reparar viviendas antiguas que han caído en deterioro.
Elimina algunas de las regulaciones excesivas para que los constructores puedan ser un poco más activos.
Los críticos de la ley dicen que la construcción de viviendas podría verse frenada por las normas locales de zonificación. Esta ley incluye disposiciones para alentar a los estados y gobiernos locales a adoptar políticas de uso de suelo y zonificación más favorables para el desarrollo de viviendas. Jung dice que la ley no resolverá por sí sola la crisis de vivienda, pero que la implementación de varias medidas más pequeñas para aumentar la oferta ayudará con el tiempo. Les informó Berta Ramos.
Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei personally donates $1 million to a super PAC. That's according to Federal Election Commission filings. Amodei's donation went to the super PAC Public First, which supports candidates who want to put regulations on artificial intelligence. Anthropic announced in February that it made a $20 million donation to Public First. 7-Eleven's parent company provides details on planned store closures. 7 & I Holdings previously announced it was closing 645 stores. That includes 200 unprofitable locations that are being closed outright in fiscal year 2026. The company plans to convert another 350 locations to wholesale fuel sites. Other locations will convert from company-owned to franchise operations. Even with the closing, 7 & I plans to open more than 200 new locations in the same time period. And President Trump's childhood home has a buyer. The home's located in the borough of Queens in New York City. The president lived there until he was 4 years old when the family moved to a larger home in the neighborhood. The president's father, real estate developer Fred Trump, built the Tudor-style home in 1940. It was most recently listed at just below $2 million. In Chicago, Grady Trimble, Fox Business.
Right now, it's really being utilized in people who already have symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and are thought to have cognitive impairment due to Alzheimer's disease. In this study, we are looking at people who do not yet have symptoms of Alzheimer's disease, people who have very high levels of this blood test abnormality, p-tau217, were very likely to progress over time. So 38% of them progressed to impairment within 5 years, and actually up to 78% within 10 years. We also found that people who have a very low level of this blood test, p-tau217, were very unlikely to progress over time and were about the same level as people in general as they age over a 10-year period might be at risk for developing impairment. At this point, it wouldn't change what I would tell someone to do. I'd still tell them to eat well, sleep well, exercise a lot, and stay engaged. This is a gradual process where amyloid and tau build up in the brain, and this blood-based biomarker is telling you how far you are in that process. And that's probably more important than just saying positive, negative.
Toxic algae blooms are becoming more frequent across the United States, just as millions of Americans are hitting the road for the summer with plans to take a dip in ponds, lakes, oceans, and beyond. But not all algae blooms are harmful.
They're very critical to the aquatic environments because they help us cycle nitrogen, phosphorus, carbon.
It takes the right environment for blooms to grow, like in warm and slow-moving natural waters or in water that is full of different nutrients brought on by fertilizer, sewage, or runoff.
That's when algae grow prolific. Now, that prolific growth is called algal bloom.
And once those blooms grow, they could produce toxins, which could hurt livestock, wildlife, and people.
Recent literature indicates that crops irrigated by toxin-contaminated water could lead to those toxins in the tissue, which is when consumed by humans, can have health impact.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, blooms could cause a variety of mild to serious illnesses. It all depends on the type of bloom you come in contact with and how you're exposed. Doctors are now working on new ways to detect the harmful ones.
We have satellite data, we have sensor data to monitor harmful algal blooms. Now, my lab, what we are trying to do is to advance this technology, the detection of harmful algal blooms using sensors and AI.
And there's an app in the works, too, by researchers at Clemson University. It will allow people to take a photo of a suspect plant, and after answering a few questions, the app is supposed to ID it, giving people another tool to help keep them safe. I'm Chris DeMeo, Fox News.
Don't speak in ways we understand.
Who doesn't understand pain? Or blood?
Zendaya says when her husband Tom Holland was cast in The Odyssey as Telemachus, they didn't know she'd end up playing the goddess Athena.
So Tom got the call, and I was over the moon, so excited. I was like, you have to do this, first of all. We'll figure out the schedule, whatever. And he, had a script that he was able to read, and I kind of maybe was over his shoulder reading it a little bit too. And I remember he came back home from a second meeting, and in no ways did I think, I was like, we're already winning. The win has happened.
But
he came home and he was like, read this again. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, maybe you want to talk about it some more or whatever. But he was like, now read it thinking about this character. And I was like, you're joking. And he was like, you have a meeting tomorrow. And I was like, oh, what? Yeah. So it was pretty cool that he got to be the one to let me know that I have a little meeting.
The gods told you.
Then I defied the gods.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Let's really go for it.
A game to get in shape with. Nintendo has released the Switch 2 edition of Fitness Boxing 3 Your Personal Trainer, featuring multiple styles of workouts. And here's a reminder to use the Joy-Con 2 wrist straps before you step in the ring. A Star Trek game boldly goes further. Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown has just added the Delta Chronicles DLC to its gameplay, featuring new missions, heroes, and more. And after being in early access since 2024, the full game version of Pal World is out now. The game features survival and crafting mechanics alongside its monster-catching gameplay and is playable on PC, Mac, PlayStation 5, and Xbox consoles. Leveling Up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
watch a pair of Texas paddleboarders save a drowning raccoon from a lake and give it a surreal ride back to safety. Thinking it was a dog, the pair spotted the struggling raccoon while fishing on Lady Bird Lake near Austin. One scooped it up using their paddle and brought it aboard, and from there the critter ran the gamut of emotions, from standoffish and snippy to curious and even trusting, crawling under the man and riding out the rainy weather beneath him. The paddleboarder said he couldn't explain how it made him feel that the animal felt safe underneath him. The bewilderment continued once they arrived on shore, and the raccoon took off and never looked back. What the Another crazy save in Texas, but in much drier conditions. A South Lake police corporal was conducting a traffic stop when he had to flag down another vehicle with smoke pouring out of it. The officer quickly ran to the car just as it caught fire and pulled on the door, ripping the handle clean off. He then broke the window and pulled the driver free, and thanks to his quick actions, the driver did not suffer any major injuries. I just have to ask, is South Lake recruiting their cops from the planet Krypton now? Seriously, in one fell swoop, this guy tore a car door handle off and ripped a window in half with his hands. Look, no one wants to be stuck in a flaming car, but if you are, it's good to know Super Cop over here has your back. Finally, from a mind-blowing rescue to a mind-blowing leaf? Yeah, it's just a leaf, but don't tell that to these little penguins at the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens who were suitably dazzled by the flippin' floppin' foliage. It's a precious social media-worthy moment that reminds us sometimes animals are just as gullible as they are adorable. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Rod.
Good luck. Okay, who's gonna win?
The battle is on.
He's gonna win.
One move at a time. This game in Port Hueneme pits a 106-year-old master against a 6-year-old challenger, proving the timeless quality of chess.
Well, I'm certainly not winning. I don't think anyone is winning yet.
The objective here is simple. Protect your king and outsmart your opponent. But there's a lot more that goes into this game of life.
The intensity that the games bring has been so much fun. Watching the kids do things that are not on a screen has been incredible to watch. And the strategy that it teaches, the patience that it teaches, and it really just shows you to think 3 moves ahead in life.
Or if I let him take my pawn and he...
For kids, chess can mean learning to slow down, think ahead, and work through a challenge.
His queen could go forward.
At first, when I didn't know how to play, I was like, I can't do it. Like, I can't win.
Oh, I forgot.
And then when you keep playing, it gives you experience, and then you win.
Whoever can think the most moves in the future invariably wins.
86-year-old Art Mortel helped set up chess clubs around the region.
Critical thinking. Chess, the game of life.
Saying it's the best way for kids to learn how to think critically.
And I love asking children when we start, would you prefer to win and learn nothing or lose and get better? And they always say, I want to lose and get better, but none of us really mean that. We'd rather win.
And for a restless mind, chess just might be the solution.
Chess may be the greatest positive addiction that can be, particularly for children. So that when they're under stress, they come home, and there's anxiety, particularly with what's happening in the world today, then to be able to go on chess.com, chess.org, have a friend.
For older players, the game offers a different kind of workout.
It teaches a lot of thought. It requires a lot of thought.
Do you feel like there are things that you learn in chess that you can apply in your everyday life?
No.
And apparently a sense of humor. Throughout the region, the game is helping keep minds active and bringing generations together.
I come here, you come here.
One chess piece at a time. In Ventura County, I'm News Channel reporter Mina Wahab.
Fox 54 Plus has your news, sports, and weather. Start your evening with Fox 54 at 5:30, delivering the latest headlines and live reports straight from the scene. Then, stay informed with Fox 54 News at 9, featuring your Tennessee Valley certified most accurate weather impact team, tracking everything from tornado threats to traffic delays during severe weather. Fox 54 Sports Extra brings you more of what sports fans crave, with deeper insights, expert analysis, and all the action that matters most. On Fox 54 Plus, you'll also find Alabama politics, plus 24/7 weather radar and real-time forecasts to keep you ahead of the storm. Looking for a quick recap? Don't miss Fox 54 Week in Review, highlighting the biggest stories of the week. Jumpstart your morning with Morning Rush. Fast-paced news updates, featured with uplifting stories from across the globe. Get your entertainment fix with Getting Real, where we break down movie reviews, top 10 lists, and spotlight the newest film. Die Hard fan? Locked On Sports dives deep into the Crimson Tide, the Tigers, college rivalries, and pro action. True crime warrior style? Killer Cases brings you gripping real-life stories that stick with you. Hungry for more? Cooking with Style serves up mouth-watering recipes that are easy to make and impossible to resist. From movie previews before you head to the theater with Take a Look to must-know headlines from across the region and around the world with In the News. Watch all of these shows on demand and also on the Fox 54 News app. Available on Android and iOS devices. Streaming 24/7.
There's more to Fox 54 Plus with the Locked On Podcast Network. From the Tide to the Tigers, from college teams to pro. The Locked On Podcast Network gives you insights and analysis you just can't find anywhere else.
These kids, they want to play.
I don't think so. I think it was Chad Baker Mazzara.
Locked On Sports, streaming every day of the week and right here on Fox 54 Plus.
This is what he's going to tell you.
Trying to find the first place to put a body.
No, sir. The only thing they could do was kill him.
Be the jury and to find the defendant